In anticipation of this channel's first year coming up, this is the second cleaned up re release of content that I dropped that really nobody ever saw. So I'll be dropping a few of these over the next several weeks as a revisit to this first year of my content and my channel. I hope that you appreciate these revisits. Very few of you were here at that time. Those of you who were, thank you for being here. Those of you who have joined along the way, I'm closing in on 1 year. It's a huge milestone. Thank you for being here. This conversation was part of an interview that I did with another YouTube channel at the time. I didn't release it in its full form. I did release these clips, which I've cleaned up and organized a little bit better for this re-release. So hopefully it works for you. For me, it's a little bit nostalgic. For you, I hope it's still useful. The topic was some of my writing on don't apologize or stop apologizing. And you'll see what I mean as you watch. It's holding on to your masculinity in relationships. Don't feel like you need to apologize for having standards and values. So, with that said, thank you everybody for being here. I hope that this short series over the next couple of weeks is enlightening, helpful, anything else. Enjoy your day. I'll see you soon. It got to a boiling point. We were on the phone one night, and I just finally had enough. I tried to get off the phone. I said, "Listen, I think we should just like pick this up another time. It's going off the rails a little bit." And then you get the guilt trip. Oh, you can't just like stay on the phone all this. But it got to a point where I just went off on her. I lost my. I do not recommend doing that. This is where I'm still going through my learning process and everything. But a few days later, I actually sat down on her couch. I was like, I'm sorry, I should not, dude, I should not have done that. But, I should not have let myself be in that situation to go off on her in the first place. I should have politely said, listen, I'm not doing this on the phone anymore. I'm hanging up. I still care about you. I just don't want to, go down that road. I let myself get into that situation. What types of things do guys apologize for?
Yep.
That was my weakness. Like, hey,
Yep.
not maintaining my masculine frame, and then feeling like I need to apologize because I was pushed into something that I don't know, I didn't want or something. There's a lot of things out there, man, that we apologize for, and women are really, really fucking good at what they do. They're really good at getting it out of us, man. They really are. I think it's so, so important. In fact, there's an entire chapter dedicated in this book about why it's so important to to maintain your bound, to state and firmly maintain and hold your boundaries early. I think it's chapter 2. The entire thing is, listen, this is why you've got to do it early, and a lot of it is, you know, you're training her. If you don't, hold those boundaries, speak them, firmly, um, and hold on to them with conviction. If you don't do it early, you're just going to end up like we said, those 20 years later. We've got to be aware, man, when we're out there. There can be nothing unintentional. You want to just go find, pick up chicks and have a little fun. It might not be a book for you, but if you're looking for something, for something serious, a quality woman, yeah, man, you can't just go in there blind and hope for the best. There can be, like I said, nothing unintentional about what you're doing when you're meeting women. And I think that leadership part starts because it's, hey, I can provide, this is what I have. A lot of it is, like another topic in the book is the commodification of masculinity, right? So they want to show them that I have this type of confidence, and and these are the things I can do, until she starts picking that apart, or she starts wanting more. Oh, dude, if he's going to take me to a $200 restaurant, I bet I could get a $400 steak out of him, those kinds of things. So
Yep.
so yeah, a lot of times the guys they'll start out in what they think is a leadership position. And listen, I'm not saying that women are horrible. I'm not one of those guys that gets on and say, they're all bitches and gold diggers and things like that. I think women do what they do because they've been taught that it works. They know that it works, and why wouldn't they try to get everything they can out of us if it doesn't, if it works? I mean, so again, it's that expectation of knowing what's coming. But yeah, so when guys do that, one of the things that, my philosophies is, if you're going to go spend $300 on a first date, you just set yourself up for that shit for the next 20 years, because now
Mhm.
she's going to expect it every time. And you can't, that's why, again, we cannot apologize for those coffee dates,
Mhm.
or going for a bike ride. I can provide, look at me, I've got all these good qualities, Well, now she's going to expect that and more every time. And now she's leading. She's telling you what you should be doing. There's one chick that I was seeing. It was last year, and she wanted to go to this. There's a lot of resorts down here, right? And like right on the ocean. So she wanted to go to one of the resorts and have something to eat and a drink. Dude, seriously, all we got two appetizers. I think we might have got like I don't know. We shared one meal, two appetizers, in one drink, something like that. And it was like $97 before the tip. And I had commented to her a few days later. After that, I was like, yeah, that was. I mean, it's nice. It's really pretty. It's a nice experience and everything. But that's 2 weeks of groceries for me. It really like I'm a single guy. I spend like about $50 a week on my groceries. I shop at Aldi. I'm very very conscious with my budget. And
Okay.
a lot of rice, stuff like that, cereal. I mean, I eat healthy. I cook a lot, but yeah, I really watch my budget. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I had mentioned to her, that $97, before tip, little snack thing, whatever that was. That was, that's 2 weeks of groceries for me. And a few days after that, she started giving me shit about it. She's like, God, I can't believe you would like have such a problem with going out and tell me that you have a problem with $100 for. I'm like, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't want to. If it were a huge deal for me, I wouldn't. If it crossed that big of a boundary,
Yeah.
I would have told you no. I was just expressing that it's not what I'm used to. It's not normally what I do. In fact, I was trying to make it a compliment, that, hey, I don't normally do, but I did it because I wanted, you wanted to go there. I wanted to have a good time and everything. And she's like, well, why wouldn't you do it? I'm like, fuck, man. But again,
Yeah.
guys, that's what you're going to experience. And we'd been together for a few months at that point. That's one of my values, one of my boundaries. I don't spend $100 going out to have a snack. I put that extra money on my mortgage, so I don't
Yeah.
have to, so I don't have it when I retire. And she just
Yeah.
didn't get it. She knows my financial plans. She just didn't give a shit, man. She just didn't care. Next time I start, getting out in looking for someone, it's going to be less about what do I want, or what type of girl am I looking for, anything like that. It's going to be more about holding on to what's important to me, and she can like it or not. Hey man, if I get out there and back in the field, meeting people, I'm just gonna go about my business, and she can stick around or not. I don't know that I really have anything that I'm looking for is specific, other than she's polite. How could I have responded more appropriately and held on to my own internal values and things like that. That's where probably 95% of the pretext from this books and in the subsequent ones that hopefully I'll start writing maybe in the fall. But yeah, I mean, it's like learn from my mistakes. It's kind of like the masculine feminine balance, right? We all need it. And my
Hmm.
point in that section of chapter 4 is, listen, she doesn't understand that she needs that polarity, that equilibrium kind of thing. You got to be your masculine self. And she wants and she should be her feminine self, right? She doesn't understand that she needs it, and she'll never admit that she wants it. She might get pissed. She might act or tell you that she's pissed or something like that for holding your masculine value in your masculine frame. But the truth is she absolutely needs it, right? I mean, women just have their feminine frame, and there's for all intents and purposes there's nothing wrong with that. The
Right.
problem is when they start to be more masculine than we are and making demands, and they now I'm in charge of this, and 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 it takes away that polarity, right? They've got to let men make or they've got to let men be themselves and hold that masculine part in order for their feminine stuff to shine through. And one of the really unfortunate parts is there's so much courage in directness, that women are getting from their videos and supporting each other. And like, listen, any woman that has a TikTok account and is talking about dating, it would be an automatic no for me.